Imagine a world where your alarm clock never goes off.
Hmm.
Not because you slept through it, but because you literally have nowhere you have to be.
No commute. No grinds.
Exactly. Just existence.
It sounds like a fantasy, doesn't it?
Mm.
Or maybe just a really long retirement.
Right, but we aren't talking about retirement, and we are definitely not talking about unemployment.
No, this is something else entirely. We are talking about a fundamental rewrite of the human operating system.
We're talking about a prediction that actual labor for money, trade your hours for dollars work might become entirely optional.
And according to Elon Musk, this isn't some far-off sci-fi dream.
No, he's talking, 10 or 20 years?
Which, in the grand scheme of economic history, is.
It's basically next Tuesday.
It's terrifyingly close. And that is what we are unpacking today.
We've got a massive stack of sources here. Transcripts from Elon's appearances at Davos, his chats with Joe Rogan, the All In podcast.
And we also have some heavy-hitting analysis from economists and skeptics, people like Warren Redlich and Noah Smith.
So our mission for this deep dive is, pretty specific. We need to separate the sci-fi hype from the economic reality.
Because Elon is pitching a future he calls universal high income.
And we need to pause right there. Not basic income, high income.
It's a really crucial distinction, yeah.
Totally.
Because, universal basic income, or UBI.
That's the one we've all heard of.
Right. It's a safety net. It's about poverty alleviation. It's the government giving you just enough so you don't starve.
Right, but probably not enough to go to Tahiti.
Exactly. UBI is about survival. It's a floor.
Musk is talking about something completely different. He calls it universal high income.
He's describing a future of, and this is his term, sustainable abundance.
Where goods and services are so available and so cheap that, as he puts it, no one wants for anything.
It's not a handout to keep you alive. It's a leveling up of the entire human lifestyle. If UBI is a life raft,
then UHI is a luxury yacht for everyone.
Pretty much. And he used this great analogy in one of the clips. He called it the magic genie economy.
Yes, the metaphor is perfect.
If you have a genie that grants wishes, and this is the key part, doesn't have a 3-wish limit.
Scarcity just evaporates.
It's gone. If everyone can have whatever they want whenever they want it, the whole concept of rich and poor just starts to lose its meaning.
But the engine behind this genie isn't magic, it's hard engineering.
AI and robotics.
Specifically, humanoid robots like the Tesla Optimus.
That's the key unlock. Musk predicts a ratio of at least 1 robot per human. Maybe more.
So we're talking tens of billions of robots globally.
And this is where the singularity comes in. That moment where technological growth just becomes uncontrollable and irreversible.
And in this singularity, the robots do, everything.
Pretty much. Which brings us to another one of his analogies from the sources, the vegetable garden one.
I loved this one. So Musk says, you can grow vegetables in your backyard right now if you want.
It's a nice hobby, right?
It feels good, but you don't have to do it to survive. You can just go to the supermarket.
Precisely. In the UHI vision, all work becomes that vegetable garden.
So you can write code or build tables or whatever if you find personal satisfaction in it.
But the supermarket, which is fueled by robotic labor, provides everything you actually need to survive and thrive.
Work transforms from a survival mechanism into a hobby.
Which sounds amazing, like paradise on Earth.
It does. But having the vision is one thing. Paying for it is another. And this is where I always get stuck. If no one is working, no one's paying income tax. So how does anyone pay for this universal high income? Where does the money come from?
Okay, this is where we have to either put on our economist hats or maybe just throw them out the window.
Ah, right.
Because Musk's theory really challenges traditional economics. His argument relies on the collapse of the cost of labor.
Okay, let's unpack that. Because usually when labor costs go down, corporate profits go up. They don't just lower prices for the rest of us.
That's the intuitive thought, right? But follow the thread. If robots take over all production, mining, manufacturing, logistics, services, the cost of labor drops to almost zero.
Musk says the only costs left are capex and electricity.
Right. Capex being the cost to actually build the robot and the factory.
And electricity to run it.
Now, if you apply the theory of marginal cost in a competitive market, the price of a good tends to move toward the cost of producing 1 extra unit.
So if it costs me $20,000 to make a car because of human labor, I have to sell it for, say, $25.
Sure.
But if a robot makes it for just the cost of raw materials and electricity.
The cost to produce that car might drop to, what, $2,000?
And if there's competition, if Ford and Toyota and Tesla are all using robots, they can't keep charging 25 grand.
They have to undercut each other. The price eventually collapses down to that new, lower cost.
So housing, food, transport, everything essentially becomes kind of like software.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. You know how it costs almost nothing to send one more email or stream one more song? Physical goods start to behave like that. It's massive aggressive deflation.
And that's the demonetization argument. He argues that if the output of goods increases faster than the money supply, prices just drop.
In that scenario, the government could technically just print money and hand it out.
Hold on. The printing purse scenario, every history book I've ever read says that leads to hyperinflation.
It does. We've all seen that movie in Weimar Germany, Zimbabwe.
From cash, the cash becomes worthless.
Usually, yes. But Musk's claim, and this is explicitly in the sources, is that you won't be able to waste the money fast enough.
What does that even mean?
It's a supply-side argument.
Yeah.
Inflation is too much money chasing too few goods.
Okay.
But if AI and robots increase productivity by 1,000%, if we are absolutely flooded with goods, houses, and services, then the supply of money just becomes less relevant.
The goods are cheaper than the cash.
Exactly. Prices collapse because there is simply too much stuff.
Okay, so that's the abundance theory. But surely there are other ways to fund this besides tempting fate with the printing press.
There are, yeah. The sources discuss a few alternative models.
Like what?
Well, one is the tax the robots perspective. If a robot replaces a worker, the company pays a tax equivalent to what that worker would have paid.
Which makes sense. The robot is working 168 hours a week, never takes a break.
Never gets sick. That's a lot of taxable productivity.
Right.
Another model they mentioned is the Alaska model. You know how Alaska has a permanent fund?
Yeah, residents get a dividend from oil revenues. They get a check just for living there.
The idea is similar, but instead of oil, the resource is the productive capital of AI and robots.
So we all become shareholders in Earth Incorporated.
Essentially, but, and this is where we have to pivot to the skeptics.
Okay.
Because that all sounds very clean on paper. But the sources we have, specifically Warren Redlich and Noah Smith, poke some very large, very realistic holes in this utopia.
Let's start with Warren Redlich. He brings up something called the law of comparative advantage.
This is a classic economic concept. Redlich argues that Musk is missing a fundamental point.
Which is?
Even if an AI or a robot is better than you at everything, literally everything, humans will still have relative value in certain tasks.
Wait, explain that. If the robot is stronger, faster, smarter, and cheaper, why would anyone hire a human?
Because of opportunity cost. Think about it like this. Even if one country is better at making both wine and cheese than its neighbor, it still makes sense for them to focus on the thing they're most superior at, say, the wine, and then trade for the cheese.
So the robot focuses on the really high-value stuff, building rockets, surgery, whatever, and leaves the lower-value stuff to us.
Or maybe the more human stuff. Redlich's point is that human desires are infinite. We will just invent new types of work that robots can't do or that we just prefer they don't do.
We might specialize in being human.
Exactly.
I guess I can see that. But Redlich also had a really practical critique about the timeline that I think we need to drill into.
Oh, the manufacturing bottleneck.
Yes. Musk talks about 10 to 20 years, but Redlich did the math on manufacturing, and it's daunting.
It is. I mean, let's just look at the logistics. Billions of robots is a number our brains are bad at visualizing.
Right. We have about 8 billion humans. Musk envisions, what, roughly 8 billion robots?
At a minimum. One for every person. Now, think about the current industrial capacity of the planet. How many complex machines, like cars, do we make in a year?
100 million? Maybe less?
Roughly, yeah. About 80 to 90 million cars globally. Toyota, the master of manufacturing, makes about 10 or 11 million a year.
Okay, so if we turned every single car factory on Earth into a robot factory, we'd get 90 million robots a year.
Exactly. And at that rate, to get to 8 billion robots, it would take roughly
80 to 90 years.
80 to 90 years.
Wow. That puts us way past the 20-year prediction.
And that assumes we stop making cars entirely. To hit Musk's 20-year timeline, we'd need to build new factories capable of churning out 400 million humanoid robots a year, starting right now.
That's like building 40 Toyotas, all running at full capacity, producing nothing but robots.
And that ignores the supply chain. The lithium, the copper, the chips. Redlet's point is that even if the AI software, the mind, is ready tomorrow, the body is an 80-year industrial project.
So the 20-year timeline isn't just optimistic. It arguably violates the laws of industrial physics. That's a massive reality check.
It is, but then there's Noah Smick's critique, which honestly scared me a lot more than the manufacturing delay.
He talks about the robot overlords problem or the demand side issue. This is the idea that if we don't have jobs, we don't have money to buy things, right?
It goes deeper. The standard economic loop is people work, they get money, they buy stuff, companies make stuff.
Sure.
But Smith asks, why would the AI owners bother with us at all? Imagine an economy that becomes a closed loop. The AI produces goods for other AI.
Wait, why would AI make stuff for other AI?
Think about the ultimate goals. If the goal of the AI or the person controlling it is to, say, colonize the galaxy,
Okay.
the AI builds data centers to process more data. It builds rockets to mine asteroids. It builds solar panels to power the data centers.
It doesn't need to sell me a toaster to do any of that.
Exactly. Humans could effectively be cut out of the economic cycle entirely.
Wow.
If the economy doesn't need human consumers to function, the leverage of the average person drops to zero. We aren't customers anymore. We're just biomass.
That is a chilling thought. It ties right into the political skepticism mentioned in the sources, the benevolence question.
Right.
Why would the ultra-rich or the massive corporations voluntarily fund a life of luxury for billions of unemployed people who have no economic leverage?
It's the trillion-dollar question. I mean, critics look at the current reality. Right now, social safety nets are often being cut, not expanded.
So the leap from cutting benefits to here is free everything requires a massive, unexplained shift in behavior.
It relies on this idea that once resources are abundant, greed will just disappear. But history suggests that power doesn't usually give itself away for free.
And speaking of power, we have to touch on the control aspect.
Central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs.
We hear this term a lot, but let's define it. How is a CBDC different from the digital money on my credit card?
The key difference is programmability. A CBDC is issued directly by the central bank, and they can write rules into the money itself.
Rules like what?
Like, this money expires in 30 days if you don't spend it. Or, this money can't be used to buy meat.
Or, this money turns off if you attended a protest.
That's the tyranny risk. Redlich actually compared UHI to Marxism, from each according to his ability to each according to his need.
The fear is if the government provides your only income, and that income is a programmable CBDC, they have total control over your life.
It turns citizens into subjects.
Okay, so we have the economic hurdles, the manufacturing bottlenecks stretching this to 80 years, and these political nightmares. But let's assume for a second we solve all that. We get the Star Trek future, we get the abundance. Musk says the biggest challenge left isn't money.
It's meaning. The crisis of meaning.
This is the philosophical part of the deep dive. It sounds like a first world problem. But if an AI can write better poetry than you, drive better than you, diagnose a disease better than you.
What are you actually for?
Yeah.
It's a profound existential threat. I mean, work, for all its drudgery, provides structure, community, a sense of utility.
What do you do is usually the first question we ask someone.
Right. If the answer is nothing, the robots do it, we lose our entire social coordinate system.
And Musk compares two potential futures here, WALL-E and Star Trek.
The WALL-E comparison is brutal, but necessary.
In that movie, the humans are just these floating blobs on hover chairs, drinking smoothies, staring at screens.
They're well-fed, they're safe, and they are totally stated. They're big babies.
They have no agency.
That's the bad ending of abundance. The loss of struggle leads to the loss of character.
And the good ending.
That's the Star Trek future. Or from the Ian M. Banks Culture series. Humans focus on high-level pursuits. Exploration, education, philosophy, art.
A planet of philosophers and athletes sounds romantic. But let's be real. When people retire today, they don't all start writing sonnets.
No, a lot of them get depressed. A lot of them watch TV for 12 hours a day.
That's the danger. In those sci-fi stories, humans choose their pursuits. In a UHI world, we'd have to fight the biological urge to just conserve energy and consume.
We'd have to culturally reinvent what it means to be a successful human when economic output is no longer the metric.
There was one piece of advice in the sources that really stuck out to me, and it felt, I don't know, controversial. Musk kind of suggested that saving money might be obsolete.
Yes, the financial advice disconnect.
What's that?
Well, because he believes money will become irrelevant, the implication is Why save for a future where everything is free?
But the financial commentators in our sources were screaming, no!
Loudly. And for good reason. Even if Musk is right, the bridge between now and then is going to be, as they put it, bumpy.
Bumpy sounds like a euphemism for absolute chaos.
It is. We are talking about potential mass unemployment before the abundance kicks in. Systems breaking before new ones are built.
So the advice is, keep saving.
Keep saving, because you are going to need a cushion for the chaos, even if the destination is paradise.
It's like, don't throw away your umbrella just because the weatherman predicts sun next week. It's still raining right now.
Exactly. And that transition period is the most dangerous part.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, let's synthesize. We have a vision of a magic genie economy that could liberate humanity.
But it's guarded by the laws of physics, the speed of manufacturing, and the realities of political power.
It feels like we're standing on the edge of a cliff, and Musk is telling us there's a safety net at the bottom, but we can't quite see it through the fog.
That's a great image.
Whoa.
And we aren't sure if the net is being held by benevolent geniuses or just indifferent algorithms.
So what's the one thought you want to leave people with?
I'd go back to a thought raised by the skeptics about our relationship with AI. In a world where robots do everything for us, what do we become?
You mentioned the house cat analogy earlier.
I did. Think about it.
Yeah.
A house cat is well-fed, safe, sleeps in the sun. It lives a life of luxury.
But it has absolutely no agency. It is completely dependent on the superior intelligence that opens the can of food.
And if the owner decides to stop opening the cat is in trouble.
That is both comforting and terrifying. Being a house cat sounds nice on a Monday morning, but maybe not as a permanent state for the human species.
It is. The question is, are you okay with trading your agency for safety? Are we the masters of this technology, or are we just becoming the pets?
Something to mull over while you're stuck in traffic tomorrow morning, at least until the robots take over the driving. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
Keep thinking critically.
See you next time.